Hi, this is NextGen Picks. Next time you are in that aisle, try this. Ignore the screens. All 8 are looping the same bright studio clip in a picture mode you will never use at home. Read the tag instead. Search the model number on your phone. Nothing comes back. No lab test, no price history, no listing anywhere else. It was built that way. 8 feet down the same aisle, a 65-inch OLED that launched at $2,700, now sitting at $1,400. Beside it, a $749 set that went backwards from the model it replaced. One of them is a trap. Here's what's actually happening. Costco negotiates private model numbers with LG, Samsung, Sony, TCL, and Hisense, which means nothing on that aisle can be price matched or checked against a published test of the identical set. Sometimes the difference is one you would only find by counting dimming zones, and one TV on this list cost about $170 less in February. Same tag, no loaner units, no brand approval. This runs on published lab testing and price history. Subscribing to NextGen Picks keeps it that way. The ranking starts with the best screen in the building, and it is not the expensive one. That model number is unsearchable on purpose, and the reason is not sinister. It's arithmetic. Costco moves enough units to negotiate its own private model numbers with LG, Samsung, Sony, TCL, and Hisense. And a private number does 2 jobs at once. It cannot be price matched against another store, and it steps around minimum advertising pricing. MAP is the floor a manufacturer sets on what a retailer is allowed to publicly advertise. And guaranteed order volume is what buys the exemption from it. 40 feet from those TVs is a shelf where every shopper in the building already understands this arrangement. Kirkland Goods. Same factory in a lot of cases, different label, lower price, nobody feels cheated. Televisions run a version of that arrangement with one difference. And the difference is the entire reason this video exists. With Kirkland, the contents are the constant and the label is the variable. In this aisle, the label changes and the hardware sometimes changes with it. Sometimes the exclusive version is stripped down. Sometimes it's spec for spec the same set with a different suffix. And sometimes, which almost nobody expects, the exclusive is the better one. This is the tell. When an exclusive model spec sheet differs from its mass retail twin in exactly one row, that one row is the whole story, and it is nearly always the backlight or the front coating. Before the ranking, the thing that actually makes this aisle worth walking. Buy a television here, and the manufacturer warranty gets extended to 2 years at no charge through Costco Concierge with free technical support as long as you own the set. Where the listing bundles an Allstate plan, that stacks to 5 years total. 5 years of coverage on a category where the expensive failures land in years 2 through 4. Now the part nobody talks about. That famous return policy people quote at parties does not apply here. Televisions get 90 days. 90 from the day it arrives, and then the door closes. The free 2-year extension also excludes physical and liquid damage, so it covers the panel dying on its own and not the panel dying because something hit it. Membership is $65 a year for the basic tier, and non-members buying online pay roughly a 5% surcharge on top. I'm not going to pretend that's free. If you already shop here, the $65 is spent and everything below is upside. If you would be joining specifically for a television, add it to the price before you compare, because a Best Buy open box unit gets genuinely competitive once you do. It just carries none of the coverage. Walk 8 feet down that same aisle, and the math changes completely. The number 1 set at Costco in 2026 is a 55-inch Samsung S95F, showing at select warehouses for $899 with 5 years of coverage against a reference price of $1,500. It's last year's flagship. It's been replaced by the S95H. That replacement is exactly why it's sitting there at that price. Here is what $899 buys. That matte glare-free coating, the one doing the diffusing in the shot above, is the best anti-reflective treatment on any consumer television right now. Peak brightness above 2,100 nits against 1,400 on the step-down S90F. A 70-watt 4.2.2 speaker array instead of a 40-watt 2.1. The slim One Connect box, which moves every input off the back of the panel and onto a puck you can hide. At 55 inches, it is a genuine QD OLED, and that matters more than it sounds like it should. Hold that thought, because it comes back hard in a few minutes. $899. My honest read on the weakness is, the processor is a generation behind the S95H, which shows up in upscaling of low bitrate streams and essentially nowhere else. Automatic brightness limiting pulls back on full screen white, which is standard OLED behavior and still surprises people the first week. Static elements left on screen for hours a day will eventually leave a trace, and no OLED made in 2026 has solved that. Also, and I want to be straight about this, the $900 figure is a select warehouse price. Availability moves club to club, and I cannot tell you it's on the floor near you. Check the item number in the app before driving anywhere. Number 2 is the 65-inch C5, $1,400 as of mid-June, down from a $2,700 launch, and the listing bundles the Allstate plan for the full 5 years. RT-INGS rated it excellent for mixed usage, calling out contrast, wide viewing angles, SDR brightness, and color. 4 full bandwidth HDMI ports, so 2 consoles and a receiver all get the good ones. Pull up the item number on that one, and something different comes back. The C5 uses the same WOLED panel technology in every size it's made in. 42-inch, 83-inch, identical technology. That sounds like the most boring sentence in this video. It's worth roughly $200 of risk reduction. And Phase 3 is where I show you why. Against it, the C5 is dimmer than the QD OLED sets, and it's glossy. So a west-facing room at 4 o'clock in the afternoon puts a defined rectangle of window on your screen instead of a gray wash. Its 2026 replacement, the C6, launched at $2,699 for the same 65-inch. $1,900 of gap between the C5 in your cart and the C6 on Amazon for a set most viewers could not separate at 3 meters in a lit room. So here is the position I will defend, and I know a chunk of you are already typing. Buy the 55-inch flagship over the 65-inch step-down. 900 beats 1,400, and the smaller set has the better coating, the brighter panel, the better speakers, and $500 left over. You're thinking, you're telling me to buy a smaller television? Yes, 10 diagonal inches is real, and I'm not dismissing it. But at normal seating distance, the coating decides whether you can see the picture at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and the diagonal does not. In a bright room, the smaller flagship is the better television for $400 less. In a dark basement, take the 65. The other objection, and it is the fair one, old stock is old stock. Except the thing being cleared here isn't a bad television that failed to sell. It's a 2025 flagship being pushed out because a 2026 flagship exists. And the actual picture gap between those two generations is smaller than the price gap by a wide margin. Buying superseded flagship hardware is the entire reason to shop this aisle in 2026. It's also, as you're about to see, a rule that breaks in 2 very specific places. Tell me which one you would take, $900 for the 55 or $1,400 for the 65, and separately, drop the model that's currently on your wall in the comments with roughly what year you bought it, because I'm building the next testing list from what you're all actually running, not from what brands want covered. Because 2 people can buy the same model name in the same store on the same afternoon and take home different hardware. Not different quality, different hardware. Change one number on that tag, the diagonal, and everything I just said stops being true. One model name is not one television. That reads like nitpicking until you see the size of it. Take the Samsung S95F, sitting at $1,400 for the 65 down from a $2,500 launch. 44% off, and CNET gave it an editor's choice for matching the picture of its pricier sibling. In the United States, the 55, 65, and 77-inch versions carry QD-OLED. The 42, 48, and 83-inch versions carry WOLED. Same badge, same box art, same aisle. WOLED is a good panel, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise, but it is a different technology with a different color ceiling. And nothing on the tag mentions which one is in the carton. This is the tell. When a manufacturer sells two display technologies under one model name, the split always follows the sizes their panel factory can actually produce, never the sizes buyers care about. The 2024 flagship does the same thing. S95H 55, 65, and 77 inches are QD-OLED. The 83 uses a WRGB panel, bought from LG Display, because Samsung Display does not manufacture QD-OLED at that diagonal. Remember the boring sentence about the C5 in the first half? Same WOLED panel in every size it's made in, 42 through 83. That's what the boring sentence was worth. You can't draw the short straw on a television that only offers one straw. Mini LED runs its own version. Hisense rates the U7SG at up to 3,000 nits and as many as 3,000 dimming zones, and that zone figure varies by screen size. Up to, those two words are carrying a load nobody weighs at the tail. Now you're thinking you're not going to stand in an aisle counting dimming zones, and correct, you're not. You look up one number for one diagonal on your phone in the parking lot, 30 seconds. Skip it and you're the person who bought the same model name as your brother-in-law and can't work out why his looks better. Rank 3 is that 65-inch S95F at 1,400. At 65, it is QD-OLED. Color volume beats the C5. HDR10 Plus is supported. Dolby Vision is not, and the screen is glossy. Rank 3 does not exist at 83 inches. At 83, it is WOLED. Color volume does not beat the C5, the badge is identical, and the price is not. Rank 4 is the Hisense U7SG, and it's the only current year set in the top half of this ranking. Hisense moved the U8 line up into RGB LED for 2026, which leaves the U7SG as their best conventional mini LED, 3,000 nits rated, native 165 Hz, FreeSync Premium Pro, and a matte anti-reflective coating. That coating is the photo print on the left. Bright light hits it and scatters into a soft gray wash instead of arriving as a clean reflection of your window frame. It's the difference between watching at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and closing the curtains at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's the single most underweighted thing on any spec sheet in this building. Two honest caveats. Viewing angles are the U7SG's clear weakness, so a wide sofa punishes it, and owners comparing it against last year's U7-8QG have been reporting it may carry fewer dimming zones despite the newer processor and better coating, which is the same up to problem I just showed you aimed at a set I am recommending. The other gap I have to be straight about. I have a confirmed Canadian warehouse price on the 75-inch, and I do not have a verified United States Costco price in front of me. Check the item number before you count on it. Rank 5 is where this gets genuinely strange. The TCL QM6K Pro is a Costco-exclusive variant, 65-inch $700 in mid-June against a $1,000 list. Owners who went digging worked out what the word Pro is doing. It is the QM6K panel fitted with the reflection-reducing coating from the step-up QM7K, not matte, but a better anti-reflective treatment than the standard set carries. So the exclusive is genuinely better than its mass retail twin in exactly one row of the spec sheet, which is the pattern I described earlier, running in the direction almost nobody expects. Which brings me to the thing half of you have believed for years. Retailer exclusive means cheaped out, decontented, corners cut. Sometimes yes, here no. Here you are getting a coating the regular buyer has to spend up a whole tier to reach. And I will take a debate on that in the comments from anyone who wants one. Where the Pro loses, and it loses hard, is underneath. The 75-inch runs somewhere around 312 dimming zones. The 65K QM7K runs 966. That is not a rounding difference. A better coating fixes what the room does to your picture. It does nothing about what the backlight does to a star field. And the Pro blooms. Rank 6 is the Hisense U7SG at $550 against a $1,000 list. RTI-NGS liked its contrast, its HDR brightness, and its black levels, and flagged poor reflection handling, which makes it the wrong television for the room I've spent 5 minutes describing. 4 HDMI ports, only 2 of them the good ones. The interface is Fire TV, and it leans hard on Prime Video. $50 of external streaming sticks solves that permanently, and you should assume you are buying one. Same sticker 4 months earlier. That 65-inch QM6K Pro was $529 in early February. In mid-June, it was $700 wearing a discount badge. Same store, same model, $170 apart, and the more expensive one is the one being advertised as the deal. Percentage off signage tells you what the retailer wants the reference price to be. Price history tells you what the television actually sells for, and only one of those two is checkable. For contrast, a shopper working the same decision in January logged an open box QM7K at $630 at Best Buy against the Costco Pro at $530. Open box wins on price. It also arrives with no coverage stack and real condition risk. One shopper reported an open box QM7K that turned up with apparent burn-in and dead batteries in the remote. That is one report, and I'm not going to inflate it into a pattern, but it is the trade you're making. Here's the second position I'll defend, and this one genuinely bothers me. 2026 is the year buy the newer model year stopped being reliable advice. Samsung deleted the QN90 line. There's no QN90H. That tier, the one that sold in volume for years, was replaced in the lineup by an entry-level micro RGB set. And the cheapest 2026 Neo QLED, the QN70H, moved to a 60Hz panel from the 144Hz panel in the QN70F it replaced, with an older processor and a more basic design. Retailer listings contradicted each other whether its backlight was full array or edge lit until Samsung confirmed it directly. Newer number, older behavior. I keep turning that over, and I can't make it come out any other way. So tell me I'm wrong. If you think model year still tracks quality in 2026, make the case in the comments because I honestly rather be wrong about this one. That QN70H is on a Costco shelf right now at $749 with a protection plan bundled in. It's one of the two. 6 people walk that aisle with 6 different problems, and the ranking reorders itself for every one of them. If your first instinct is to never think about this purchase again, you're buying the coverage before you buy the picture. Take the 65-inch C5 at $1,400 with the All-State plan bundled to 5 years. One panel technology across every size, so there's no draw to lose, and 4 full bandwidth HDMI ports, so nothing needs revisiting when a console changes. If your room has a west-facing window and you refuse to watch television in the dark, the coating decides this and nothing else does. The 55-inch S95F at $899, or the U7SG if you want the current year and a bigger diagonal. Both scatter light instead of mirroring it. If a console is plugged in permanently, count the good ports before anything else. The C5 gives you 4. The U65F gives you 2 out of 4, which is fine until a second console and a receiver turn up, and it suddenly is not. If what you actually want is the biggest sheet of glass the money will buy, Costco will sell you a 98-inch QM6K Pro. It is run at $1,300 in warehouse, item number 959866766, and around $1,500 online, with a 2-person mounting service worth $200 included. Understand what that is? 98 inches of a 300-zone class backlight is 98 inches of bloom around every bright object on a dark background. It is an event screen, sport, daylight, a room full of people. Bought as a picture-quality purchase, it will disappoint you by the second dark film, and the doorway and the vehicle will disappoint you before that. And if the requirement is 100-inch under $1,500, my honest read is that you should leave this aisle entirely and price a short-throw projector against an ambient, light-rejecting screen. Better image at that size at that money. I'd rather send you out of the building than sell you the compromise. Best overall, the 65-inch LG C5 at $1,400, not because it wins any single measurement, but because it is the only set here with nothing to check. Same panel in every size, 4 good ports, 5 years covered, and a 2026 replacement that costs $1,900 more for a difference you would struggle to see at 3 meters. Best value, the 55-inch S95F at $899. The best anti-reflective coating on any television sold today, 2,100 nits, $500 cheaper than the sets ranked above it, which means I've now recommended both sides of the argument I picked in the first half. Fair. The grouping above is the resolution. Bright room and a normal seating distance, take the 55 and the coating. Wide sofa, dark room, 2 consoles, take the 65 and the ports. 90 days from the day it lands on your stand, this stops being reversible. Skip number 1, the 55-inch Samsung QN70H at $749 with a 3-year all-state plan bundled, members only, free shipping. Against the QN70F it replaces, this set has a more basic design, an older processor, a step down in audio, and a 60 Hz panel where the previous model ran 144 Hz native. It is a VA panel with edge-lit mini LED behind it, and retailer listings disagreed on that point until Samsung confirmed it directly. Edge-lit cannot do local contrast, whatever the Neo QLED badge on the tag implies. The line starts at $549 for the 43-inch, and $55 is the second rung of 6. The protection plan in that bundle is doing the work of making $749 feel like a considered price. Here's what the same money buys within about 20 feet. The 65-inch QM6K Pro, larger, full array, 144 Hz. The U7SG at 550, larger, mini LED, 144 Hz. Or roughly $150 more moves you to a U7SG with 165 Hz and the matte coating. Skip it. If it falls below about $450 and you want a small, simple Samsung set for a bedroom with nothing ever plugged into it, fine. At $749 with a console in the house, that's money you don't get back and a ceiling you can't raise. Skip it. Skip number 2, the 75-inch Samsung Frame Pro at $2,500 down from $3,200, 21% off. On the same aisle, the S95F is 44% off and the U7SG is 45%. When the retailer's own discount on a set is half what it is giving on everything around it, the set is not clearing, and that is a signal about demand rather than a bargain. Business Insider called it the best picture of any art television and praised the matte screen while flagging uneven blacks in some content and the extra cost of getting more art. Best among art televisions is a category qualifier. It is not a picture verdict. $2,500 in this building buys the 55-inch S95F at $899 and the 65-inch C5 at $1,400 with $200 left over. 2 rooms of OLED or 1 wall of art, and it's the superseded version of a line that just changed materially. The 2026 Frame Pro added a 55-inch size alongside the 85, 75, and 65 and moved to a Wi-Fi 7 wireless connection box. If wireless is the reason to own an art television, this is the wrong year of it. If it's not the reason, this is the wrong price. Which brings me to the thing worth more than any single set in this video. Costco's advantage is not price. Plenty of stores discount. The advantage is the stack. 2 years of warranty at no charge, 5 where the plan is bundled, 90 days to walk it back, and free support for as long as you own it. My position, and I know this one splits people, is that stack beats a 15% price gap almost every time in this category. Tell me I'm wrong if you've taken the open box route and it worked out, because that's a live argument, and I'd like the comments to settle it. The reference grade sets are not in that building at all. At the July 2026 shootout, the Samsung S95H took the OLED title at 9.3, ahead of Sony's Bravia 82 at 8 and LG's G6 at 7.4. And Sony's Bravia 92 won the RGB LCD category at 8.1. None of these is a Costco value play. What this aisle sells is last year's best television with 5 years of coverage on it. And once you see it that way, the whole floor makes sense. So, the item number becomes the only honest label in the building. Not the badge, not the discount flag, not the model year. 7 questions against that number in the car park before you commit. Is it current or superseded? And is superseded actually better here? Does the number exist outside this chain? And if not, is the variant stripped or upgraded? What is the zone count at your exact diagonal? What panel is in your exact diagonal? What did it cost 90 and 180 days ago? What is inside the bundle? And what is it worth? Is it warehouse only? And is the online price higher? One last thing, and it costs you nothing. Whatever you bring home, inside the first 72 hours, put a full-field 5% gray slide up in a dark room, then a full white one. Look for banding, patchiness, corner glow. If it is there, it will never leave, and you have 90 days to do something about it. Most people find it in month 5. Links below go to the vetted versions of these, the sizes that avoid the panel split. Tell me which of the two skips surprised you, and if you have owned QM6K Pro past a year, I want to know whether that coating held up. Hi, this is NextGen Picks. Check the number, not the batch.